There are some places just about everyone has heard of, but few truly know. One such place is Transylvania. A male-dominated culture that nevertheless has its softer sides.
For us, a horse is like a child. Horses are like members of the family for us Roma.
Transylvania is a region with a long history and vibrant traditions. It's a place where people enjoy life and are even at peace with the idea of it one day coming to an end.
Our cemetery is the only one in the world where people laugh rather than cry.
Away from the cities, some places appear almost frozen in time, right in the heart of Europe. Low-hanging clouds of mist, sinister legends, vampire stories. Transylvania is perhaps best known for the saga of Count Dracula. Bran Castle is marketed as the Count's home, but the region has much more to offer than spooky myths. Its magnificent buildings are the backdrop to a dramatic history. Hungarians, Germans, and Romanians have shaped Transylvania. In the far north, on the border with Ukraine, is Maramuresh. The region, historically a part of Transylvania, is known for its skillful craftspeople and the elaborate wooden churches recognized by UNESCO as World Heritage Sites. In the small Orthodox Christian community of Sapența, residents believe that death loves wood. They say that the whole of human life, from the crib to the coffin, is bound up with wood. And people here have an unusual view of death. This is especially evident in the cemetery of this village of 3,000 residents. When a person dies, they get their very own personal memorial, a lovingly carved, brightly painted wooden cross. A picture and a poem, each one unique, tell the story of the deceased. Honestly and bluntly, for better or for worse. For 45 years, Dumitru Pop has been carving crosses here, a place the locals call the Merry Cemetery. This makes him something of a village chronicler. The plan is for his son-in-law, Ioan, to one day follow in his footsteps. To do the job, one needs to know a lot about the people of Sapența.
The whole village knows the story of this deceased woman, because everyone knew how badly she treated her family, especially her son-in-law. She really bossed him around. He had to dance to her tune, and people mocked him for it. After her death, the family asked me to make a cross that was a true memorial to her life. And this is it. Beneath this cross lies my mother-in-law. If she'd lived just one day more, I'd be down there. You who admire this cross, don't try to wake her, otherwise she'll come back home to annoy and tease me. The reactions were positive. No one said I'd written anything wrong. That was how she was.
It's Dumitru alone who decides which life event commemorates the deceased, and above all, what information is included in the short poem.
This is for a young man who died in a car accident. And I wrote the following. Oh, I rest here at a young age. My name is Grinku Gorge. I proudly bought myself an expensive car, but the Mercedes didn't last long. I died in my car. Before it had even left the lot, my life came to an end so early. If only I'd at least had a bride, but now I'm lying in my grave a virgin.
Final words of remembrance. Sincere, but with a wink and a nudge. But Dumitru has no intention of mocking the deceased. He carves, paints, and writes with one overarching aspiration.
The idea is to change people's perspective on death. The Merry Cemetery is the only one in the world where people laugh about death, rather than cry.
Taking the sorrow out of death, a mission that became his life's work. Over the years, the 67-year-old has made a name for himself across Romania. Geographically, Transylvania forms the center and the northwest of Romania. The region is surrounded by the elongated mountain ranges of the Carpathians. Cluj-Napoca is seen as the unofficial capital of Transylvania. With some 325,000 residents, Cluj is Romania's second largest city and the cultural, economic, and scientific center of Transylvania. Formerly known as Klausenburg, it was founded by German settlers in the 13th century. The grand buildings in the old town testify to its great regional significance. Today, it's mostly young people out and about on the streets. Cluj is a university city representing a young and modern Transylvania, an exception in a region that's, for the most part, rural and traditional. In the small towns and villages, there's an incredible sense of peace and quiet. Here, people still have time, or at least, they take it. On the roads, there are almost as many carriages as there are cars. Horses are closely linked to the region's history. To this day in Transylvania, they're not just an important mode of transport, they're also a status symbol. Constantin Vamos is the proud owner of 31 horses. His farm isn't far from Cluj.
Come to Papa, Hadice, come to Papa. Who's the best behaved?
Constantin, or Costel as everyone calls him, has a close, almost familial-like bond with his horses.
Horses are the most beautiful animals on this planet. I've loved horses since I was a kid. When I was 8, I bought myself a donkey. I couldn't afford anything more.
Nowadays, not only does Costel have enough money to pursue his passion, he's also turned it into a source of income. He's been breeding and selling horses for 30 years.
Hey, look here, sweet little guy. Come to Papa. Give me your leg. Good boy, good boy. He's still young. If you don't train him now, he'll kick you in the face later. He has to learn now, just like a child.
But as much as he grows fond of the animals, at some point it's time to let them go. One of the region's most important markets is taking place tomorrow. Stella, the mare, is due to change hands. The negotiations are already in full swing.
I've asked for 4,500 euros. I don't know if I'll get that. I have to convince the buyer in person. I'll try and negotiate the highest possible price.
The potential buyer wants to see some new photos before meeting the horse tomorrow in the flesh. Costel breeds Romanesque Semicreu, a traditional Romanian breed. Originally used as working animals, today they're primarily a status symbol. At the upcoming horse market in Gilo, they're highly prized. Transylvania means beyond the forest. Like a thick, old carpet, forests cover large areas of the region, right up to the peaks of the Carpathian Mountains. The few people who settle here live with and from nature. It sounds romantic, but it's not so easy. It's 6 in the morning, the start of the working day for shepherd Tuader Tapash, even though today's work is a little out of the ordinary.
It's going to be a tough day, but that's just the way it is. I'll feel the work in my bones this evening, but that's okay.
Tuader can't live from his sheep alone. Every 2 months, he sets off to his fireside to make charcoal.
We need the charcoal to survive, otherwise there isn't enough money. We need both, the sheep and the charcoal. Then we manage to get by.
Tuader's family farm is located high up in the mountains. Besides sheep, he owns goats, pigs, and a few hectares of forest, meaning he has wood at his disposal. With the source material at hand, Tuader can get started. He gradually piles up several tons of bone-dry wood. The center, what's known as the quandle shaft, is crucial. It's where Tuader will light the fire later. To do this, he needs bone-dry wood, a refined technique, and this secret ingredient.
The rubber boot burns ultra-fast.
One by one, Tuader and his helpers stack the logs in a circle around the core. It looks simple, but it demands great concentration. The spacing is crucial. Too close and not enough oxygen will reach the core. Too far apart and it will burn unevenly.
I'll only see if I did a good job at the end. Until then, all I can do is hope.
Tuader grew up in the mountains, just him and his parents. While other children practiced writing and math, Tuader learned to bring 400 sheep safely to pasture, to make cheese out of milk and charcoal out of wood.
I couldn't work in an office. I need the freedom and the fresh air, out here in nature. And not everyone can live in the city anyway.
The stack is almost finished, a pile of wood weighing tons with ventilation shafts. Tuader covers it, first with straw and then with cold ash and soil. This protects the wood from wind and moisture. Finally, he lights the fire through a narrow gap in the stack.
I need to hurry and add more wood, so that the fire catches on the other side. Otherwise it'll just burn at the front.
The flames go out quickly, but the embers continue to glow beneath the dome, where there's just enough oxygen. The skill lies in controlling the invisible smoldering fire to prevent the stack from going up in flames. Tuader won't know how good the charcoal will be until he reopens the stack after 5 days. Transylvania has been the backdrop of an eventful history. Romania's best-known region is a melting pot of different European peoples. The culture of the region's ethnic Germans is entrenched here to this day. There are more than 150 preserved fortified churches here, an impressive legacy of the Transylvanian Saxons. They were built around the 15th century to defend against Ottoman invasion. In towns like Biertan or Sighisoara, residents could take refuge in these structures. Houses of worship were turned into proper strongholds with thick walls, observation towers, and entire neighborhoods. Most of the ethnic Germans began leaving Romania after 1970. Today, around 16,000 Transylvanian Saxons still live in the region. In the village of Cincu, two of them are going back to their roots. Marlene and Alex Herbert want to preserve the culture and language of their ancestors. In particular, the artisan traditions of the Transylvanian Saxons. Together, they're renovating the house that once belonged to Marlene's grandparents, with old materials and tools when possible. They're currently working on a wooden pavilion.
The challenge is when you work with old materials, it's quite normal that nothing fits and everything's crooked because everything was crafted by hand.
While carpenter Alex takes care of practical aspects, Marlene goes on a daily treasure hunt for old items. Her latest find? Antique doors and matching windows. She's also discovered evidence of their historic value.
We found the exact technical drawing in the carpenter's book from 1874. Things like this are proof that here in this region of Transylvania in Romania, there's an old artisan tradition that's worth reviving.
In their renovation project, the Herberts utilize their ancestors' materials and know-how as a way of building sustainably while saving money. These finds very nearly became firewood.
Yes, it's a great piece of work in terms of craftsmanship and design. It's a real treasure that survived for more than 100 years.
But there's still quite a bit of work to do before Alex can fit the doors into the wooden frames.
It's going in 2 millimeters. Yeah, that's staying put.
The problem? The strut's too long and the joint has the wrong dimensions. But Alex is not giving up.
They're not defeats, they're challenges.
In his workshop, Alex finds a suitable tool for every challenge. The 38-year-old collects traditional tools from the region and repairs them.
The old tools are better. The quality of steel is better. They're much more robust than the standard tools you can buy everywhere these days. And if they're old and from the village, it's safe to say they were made by a village blacksmith with a particular craftsman in mind. So he'd never give him anything shoddy, because the two of them would see each other almost every day.
The unconventional project has long been the subject of village gossip.
For sure, people shake their heads when they talk about us. We're the ones who collect all the old junk that would normally be thrown away to make a few quick lay for scrap iron or firewood. No one's collecting this kind of stuff. Of course, we're the freaks around here. But that's just fine.
Alex was born in Brasov, Marlene in Bucharest. They were raised bilingually, but living in Germany was never an option for them. Their roots to their Romanian homeland run deep, and Marlene feels them here especially.
When my grandmother died, I came to the empty house a short time later for a vacation. At a very difficult time in my life. A time when I was wondering who I was and what I was actually doing. I wasn't so conscious of it at the time, but it turned out to be a wonderful dream.
And so, Malena stayed. But realizing her dream became more complicated than expected. The couple kept coming up against new, unforeseen problems.
That's not working at all, is it?
The nails from Alex's supply don't fit. They won't be able to continue working on the wooden frames for the pavilion. While Malena and Alex tried to find a solution, further to the north, people are also working to preserve another artisanal Transylvanian tradition. In the little village of Supența, Dumitru Pop makes his wooden crosses for the deceased. He's been doing it for 45 years. He feels those years in his bones. It's important to him that the tradition is passed on. His son-in-law is to take over the reins, a huge honor for the young man.
It's a big responsibility for me. I'm not setting out to be better than my predecessor, but I'd like to at least reach his level. I'd like to achieve that.
Like many young Romanians, Ioan worked on construction sites or farms across Europe as a migrant laborer. His home village couldn't secure him a future, neither personally nor financially, until he met Dumitru's daughter and started helping out in the workshop.
To work with the crosses gave me a purpose in life again, so that's why I decided to stay in Sapența. I felt at home here again. It was very difficult for me before.
He's been Dumitru's apprentice for 2 years and will ideally take over the job soon. But there's one problem. His skills aren't quite up to the master's exacting standards.
I'd like you to finish chiseling the upper wreath today, where the lettering will go later. I hope it works out. I'm nearly done here, and once you've done that, you can help me with the painting.
I'll do my best.
This cross is to be a final memorial to a departed family friend. The Gilo Horse Market is a combination of trade show and family reunion. It's already packed, just like every year. And traders are still trying to secure an area on the field, which is much too small. Costel, the horse breeder from Cluj, is late again, but he's determined to find a spot.
I don't know of any event like it. This festival is unique. It's about honor and money.
A lot of money. Costel's hoping to sell one of his best mares today. The potential buyer is also the organizer of the market. Pufi Moldovan makes sure everything comes together.
I can't put into words how important this market is to me. It's in my blood. My father, my grandfather, my entire family always had horses, and that's how they earned a living. A horse is like a child. Horses are like members of the family for us Roma.
Pufi belongs to the Romani ethnic group, like almost all those taking part in the market. The first Romani people arrived in Transylvania in the mid-14th century from India and Anatolia. Horse trading is one of this ethnic minority's oldest and most respected professions. With a lot of fanfare, the men tried to get potential buyers to notice their horses. Negotiations are conducted in a rather crude manner.
Enough, you crook. Let's shake.
3,000.
You're joking, you scoundrel.
4,000.
Eventually, a double handshake seals the deal, and the tone becomes friendlier. Horse trading is a male domain in a culture that's generally dominated by men. Aside from money, this business is also about socializing. The market is the get-together of the year for the Romani. They eat, drink, and party into the night. In Supența, it's a different atmosphere. The village in northern Transylvania is in mourning. A member of the close-knit community died just a week ago. The widow Nuta has commissioned a cross for her husband, Stan Gorga. Everyone's still in shock. He was only 57 years old. An infection resulted in organ failure.
No one saw it coming. If he'd only complained about the pain earlier, if he'd been at the hospital sooner, but it was already too late. His entire body was infected. It's so sad.
In Supența, people have an unusual attitude to death. They mourn, but try not to dwell in the sorrow.
Let's remember the good things. There are so many photos. Our granddaughter's just 1 year old here.
The widow Nuta has asked Dumitru Pop to make a cross, as all the villagers do when a loved one dies. Locals believe the cross is the entrance to paradise.
The cross will be a sign of respect for my beloved husband. I'm not worried because I trust Dumitru with all my heart. He knows the story of every person he makes a cross for. He's from here. He was a friend of my husband's. He knows everything.
Dumitru Pop knows Stan Gorga and his wife well. He was at their wedding and their children's baptisms. While Dumitru's son-in-law works on the carving, Dumitru will write a poem about his departed friend.
It's always sad when a family member passes. We'll all miss him.
On this occasion, too, Dumitru will remain true to his principles.
Whatever I write on the cross is always a surprise for the family. They only see the cross at this stage, and then again once it's completely finished. I never show the poem before. Otherwise, they might say, "Don't write that on it."
Nuta fully entrusts Dumitru with composing her husband's final tribute. The Mary Cemetery of Supența. It's one of a kind. Like an open book where visitors can read about the late residents of the village. The Orthodox Christian community faces death with openness and humor, and there's a lesson in there for the living. Dumitru Pop knows how tough life can be, but he always tries to see the bright side, apart from when there's nothing cheerful or humorous to say, as in the case of this little girl.
Burn in hell, taxi that came from Sibiu. As big as the country is, you had to stop in front of our house and run me over and make my parents so sad. This tragic accident happened in front of the parents. Events like this are so painful. How else can I describe it? Each time I read it, the sense of grief returns. How awful.
But no matter how terrible the fate, Dumitru must always find words for the unfathomable, including now for the death of his friend, Stan Gorga. The embers in the charcoal pile of Tuader Tapash have been burning for 5 days. He layered tons of wood to build this stack, also known as a clamp. Tuader's milking his animals quickly today, because his instinct is telling him it's time to open the clamp.
You can never be certain you'll get a good result. Sometimes the core doesn't burn properly and the wood stays as it is. But I've got a good feeling that the clamp has sunk.
The money from the sale of the charcoal is an important source of income for Tuader and his family. The animals alone aren't enough to make ends meet. Tuader can't really tell what the pile looks like inside. He needs to open it.
I'm starting here. It needs more time. It's not charred yet. It's still wood. I need to close the hole again carefully so no dirt gets in. Otherwise, I'll smother the flame again.
Tuader gingerly closes the gap. Here on the left, the wood isn't yet sufficiently charred, but the embers aren't evenly distributed. On the right side, it could be ready. Tuader's hoping for partial success at least.
Now I need to see if it's worked here or not, but it looks good. The charcoal's slowly starting to show here. From there, it's all charred. That's very good. The charcoal is sturdy. No matter how I strike it, it doesn't break. Good quality.
Tuader's family is one of about 20 living in the mountains. Isolated from the rest of civilization, they rely on each other to survive. Tuader supplies them with his charcoal for 40 lei per sack, around €8. And there's always fuel in the house for cooking. Supper today is mutton and curdled sheep's milk. Between the sheep and the charcoal, Tuader is confident he'll always be able to feed his family. Here, tucked away in the mountains of Transylvania. In Chinku, it's also time to get cooking. Like her approach to house renovation, Marlene Herbert tries to use what's on hand for her meals. Today she's prepping a wine soup, a typical dish that her ancestors would have eaten to boost their immune systems, especially when they had a cold.
Transylvanian Saxons are known to be frugal when it comes to their cuisine. That means using and consuming what's available.
Marlene is cooking ahead of time because she has an important appointment today. Work on the old pavilion hasn't been progressing. Alex couldn't find the right nails for the job, but a blacksmith friend should be able to help. He's going to make them custom nails.
The head can be slightly bigger. That's a 50. And theoretically, the head can be just as big.
Thomas Fink strikes the iron, heated to around 1,350 degrees in the fire, into the nail's precise conical shape. There's a small German-speaking community in the region. It's a mix of Transylvanian Saxons and people who have left Germany to come and live here. Many of them work as craftspeople or artists.
Here it is.
Wow, super cool.
The new nails and the old doors fit perfectly. The historic pavilion project is finally coming along.
Amazing. I can picture it properly now. It's going to be great. We've got a reason to celebrate, don't we?
You bet.
No?
Well then, let's tuck in.
The couple thanks their friends and helpers with wine soup and cake. Their dream of a house with a rich backstory in the home of their ancestors is taking shape. In Sapenca, a new day dawns. While Dumitru Pop is finding the right words for the tribute to his late friend, his apprentice Ioan is making the final touches to the cross. Ioan is under a great deal of pressure. After all, Dumitru can't retire until his son-in-law is able to fashion an entire cross on his own.
It's not perfect. There are a few small mistakes if you look closely. But the most important thing is that this line here is perfectly straight, so that it forms a distinct frame. And you've certainly done that well.
The next step is for Ioan to apply color to the cross. The bright hues of the grave crosses are just as unusual as the poems and portraits. Ioan is getting better all the time, but no one becomes a village chronicler and poet overnight.
I'm still a beginner. There are many tricks and techniques left for me to learn. But I'm in the best position possible because Dumitru is a great teacher. I'm confident I'll be able to replace him soon.
Dumitru has written around 500 poems during his career. This one was especially difficult. But now he thinks he's found the right words.
That looks good. Here I'm laid to rest. My name is Stan Gorga. I'll tell you the truth. My life was not easy. It was defined by work. I had such a full day. That's why I'm lying in a coffin now. The only nice thing I learned, to make schnapps from my own apple harvest.
Lovely. His widow will be pleased.
Surely. These days, I sometimes wonder what I'll leave behind. I don't know how many more years I have left, but luckily, I've got someone to take over. And when the time comes, I hope Ioan will write the truth on my cross.
The truth about a life in just a few words. That's no simple feat. For Dumitru and Ioan, life isn't solely about the highs or the lows, which is why there will always be space for both at the Mary Cemetery in Sapenca. At Gilo Market, the horses aren't just for sale. They also compete in a variety of contests. The animals must demonstrate their strength, and some score extra points for beauty. Nowadays, the market runs itself. Organizer Pufi finally has time to devote to his own business.
If I like something, then I have to have it. And Costel has something I really like. I wish you a long life, Costel. How are you?
I'm very well. This is the mare I'd like to sell.
She's a beauty. How old is she again?
Just 2.
2 years?
Exactly.
What's your price?
I'd like 4,500, but I don't know what you can afford.
That's daylight robbery. We're not in Germany.
What's your offer?
3,500.
3,500 for this mare?
No.
Look at her legs, like a goddess. See for yourself. Take a close look.
What's your final price?
Your offer's too low.
The customary negotiation is underway. The men tease and provoke one another, seeing how far they can push it. A single handshake signals initial interest. After some haggling, a double handshake seals the deal.
I'm very pleased. We agreed on 3,750 euros. That's a fair price for both of us. The mare is a perfect fit for my breeding program.
Selling the mare was bittersweet, but I know where she's going. With him, she won't have to work in the forest. She won't be beaten. It's like a father and his child. I wouldn't entrust my daughter to a bad man. That's the way it is with my horses, too.
It's early evening, and Costel is returning to his farm and horses in Cluj. There is pride and joy, and one important part of Transylvania's vibrant culture. And many here are doing all they can to preserve that culture.